Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to It's Time to Talk. I'm April.
And I'm Deidre. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. I am loving our intro.
I am too.
We have an intro.
Yes, we do.
It's so exciting. Shout out to Jarvis.
Yes, thank you, Jarvis.
Our live producer who is here with us right now. And he is the guy that makes our show, shine, right?
Yes, amazing.
All the behind the scenes stuff, when we talk, I don't know how this brother does it.
All right.
He's like, he channels us. I was watching the show, we haven't been back. We haven't been on for maybe 2 weeks.
Right.
So the last show that we did, we were talking about, unfortunately, all the, police incidents going on in our country. And as we were talking, he was just right there. Boom, 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 boom. Like right before we had things, he had graphics up. It was just...
Yes, he's always on point. We love you,
He is
Jarvis.
always there. And then he made our beautiful intro. So, we are giving up much love.
Yes.
He's going to start charging us more, dear. Maybe I shouldn't be.
He said, yes, I am. Hey, he know his worth. You know his value.
But it wasn't that good. It's all right. It's all right.
Look, it's getting us through for a start.
Right. We needed something.
Right.
So
yeah,
cool.
No,
Thanks. We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it.
No, love it.
Thank you, Jarvis.
But I'm just so glad to be back.
Me too.
It's time to talk. It's been awesome.
Yes.
Myself, I know, I've been busy. So, oh my gosh, my business. And then I also was able to take some time off. So I did take a quick trip to New Orleans.
Is that how they say it there? Because I've never been.
Yeah.
Although our brother was born there.
He sure was, wasn't he? Right?
Yes.
But that was my first time there. So, but I loved it. It was just beautiful. And just around the country, just looking at all the trees and all the, the greenery and just beautiful, vast open land. It was. I'm an outdoors person, so I just love. Anytime I'm out, it's refreshing to me. I always love to clear my mind. I always love to.
It's always good to escape.
Yes, and to just refocus and regroup.
Yes.
So being out there was just amazing. I met the most amazing people. I went down to the French Quarter, Bourbon Streets. Hey,
got
shout
lit.
out. Yeah.
Lit. Was it lit?
It was lit. yes. And I did my thing. So I had a lot of fun. I love the architecture. It's just beautiful. Just that vintage, but just classic.
French.
Yes, French, absolutely.
Influences.
And I just love the chandeliers, just the beautiful designs, things like that. So it's just really a beautiful city. So I was very impressed. And, of course, they had the Hurricane Katrina and all that type of thing. So I got to see the beautiful Mississippi River, which just seemed to go on forever and ever.
It's huge, right?
And then I was there, unfortunately, we had the officer shootings in Louisiana, the 3 officers that were killed.
You were there when that happened?
No, it was, their service. It was,
I was trying to think.
Yeah, so I was there for the aftermath. So there was a lot of police presence and a lot of police coming from out of town. Dallas and different other areas, they were there to support them and to attend the services. So I got to see a lot of, unfortunately, police presence a lot around there. So, things like that. But overall, just a much needed trip. So,
good.
Yeah, so I was really excited
I think it's amazing when you go away and you see other places. And, we're so caught up in where we live. And particularly when we live in big cities like L.A., San Francisco, New York, you seem to think that there's not much room or space, even in our country. But then you go and you travel somewhere and there's just nothing as far as the eye can see.
Right.
And you just think there's plenty of land for all of us.
When I was flying, I love to sit at the window. I love to look down. I love to see what's going on. I was looking down. I'm like, there's so much land. There's so much abundance, so much space. And I'm looking at coming from Los Angeles. I was like, wow, what we're all cramped in this,
We're choosing to be cramped.
Yeah, we're choosing to be cramped. Beautiful. Of course, we want to be by the beach. We want the best weather, things like that. But looking at God's creation and, society, we have you thinking the powers that be, there's not enough. There's no abundance. There's no, space. But
like here, you breathe in, take a deep breath, breathe in.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what? You taking my air,
Right.
And it's like anywhere else, you just like stretch your arms out and just let it go.
Plentiful.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I want to go one day.
Yeah.
Take me with you next time.
I was talking, I don't know if we showed any of the pictures, but I was going to... Okay, that one, if anyone can see that one, that was a picture of, they have a statue of Jesus. So right in the middle of the French Quarter.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, and it illuminates. And so his shadow illuminates off the church there.
Now, it needs to be in the French Quarter.
Right, and that's why I was saying the contrast, because it's like, but, Jesus was among. He was among all the sinners.
He's everywhere.
The people, it wasn't.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was sitting with the elite. So he was down there in the trenches.
True that.
So, but I loved it because it's available,
Yes.
So if you had too many drinks, you can at least you can make that right, or you can make that left.
Make that right. Go to the light.
Exactly.
Turn out the light and get the light.
Yes. You can could go down there and worship, or it was just beautiful. It was just really breathtaking. So I just had to take a picture of it because I was like, wow, it had caught my eye as I was walking through the street. So I was like, let's go this way.
That is so cool. So you were really busy, so you may not have been able to catch any of the RNC or DNC, the Democratic coverage, or the Republican National
bits and pieces
convention.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm the same with you. I was pretty busy, so I haven't I wasn't able to catch a lot of it. But obviously, what everyone knows is Melania Trump's speech. When she plagiarized Michelle Obama.
Right.
I love Michelle Obama's speech.
Yes.
But I thought it was really funny when that one congresswoman, she wore Melania Trump's dress. Did you see that?
I did not.
What was her name? She's the Ohio congresswoman, Joyce Beatty. Okay. Joyce Beatty, Batty Beatty. And she came out waving to the crowd. She had on the exact same dress as Melania Trump. And I'm just laughing. I said, if this is either... This whole election cycle is either a joke,
right?
Someone
rigged,
is playing with us. There she is, right there.
Hilarious! Oh,
same
my gosh.
exact dress.
What?
And
it's a setup.
It's like everyone wants to troll everyone. That's the term that they use online now when you kind of just make a joke and kind of clap back, do the clap back at somebody, and boom, got you back type of thing. And that was her clap back,
wow.
And I'm just thinking, okay. Me personally, I like to be the underdog. Like, let everybody underestimate me because then I'm kind of quiet and I end up on top usually. Yes. Okay, so make fun of me or whatever. But I don't like to see both sides making fun of both sides so much. Let's stick to the real issues. Let's find out what they really are. Yes. Let's really hear them. I think everyone's so polarized now. Everyone's like, oh, I'm for Trump and I'm for this, I'm for that. And it's like either or. Like elections prior years seems like people wanted to hear both sides, really, and then make a decision. Right. It's like everyone has their mind made up and let's just see who wins. I don't like when it's I don't like how it feels right now.
Well, I agree with you. But I think back then, people had more, even on both sides, people had actual views. People had actual solutions, different things.
Actually something.
Whether you agreed with them or not, there was things to debate about. There were intellectual topics.
Substance.
Exactly. There were those things back then. And then, you were able, like you said, to listen and make a decision. Nowadays, it's, we have the social bullying. We have, you can tweet something out about somebody and comment about trivial, petty little things.
Everything's so petty.
Everything is such a distraction. So now we're focused on, we can see, now you can see somebody wake up from the morning they open their eyes to the time they go to bed, and that's what we're talking about instead of the issues of homelessness, the issues of hunger in this country, the racism.
The ongoing real life issues that people really everyday normal people are facing
jobs, lack of jobs, things like that.
Which is why we need a new leader.
Absolutely.
And we need I mean, obviously, I'm not saying any shade on Obama, but it's time to elect a new leader and a new leader that knows all those things. And so that's why we're talking about leadership today. And we're going to have coming up our guest, Dr. Keichea Reever. She is founder and CEO of the Southern California Mentoring Academy, and she knows a little bit about leadership. So I can't wait to talk to her, see her take on this whole election thing, but also talk about maybe some personal leadership in your own life, maybe some professional leadership, maybe at work and career. How about parental leadership?
Right.
With them cheering.
Okay. And then how to take leadership if you feel like you're stuck, if you're stuck in the rut, you know what I mean? How to take leadership for your own life, your own accountability, you know, moving from one space to the next, or how to move forward.
We're going to talk about all that good stuff. So we're going to take a quick break, and we want you to come right back with us because we'll be right back with Dr. Keichea Reever. Stay put.
Speak Your Week will guide you through the process of using the power of your thoughts and words to create more positivity and success in your life, day to day and week to week. Written by It's Time to Talk's own host, April Jordan. This dynamic book will remind you of the powerful person you really are and how to use that power to create the life that you want. Want better health, success, abundance, love, and more. Within the chapters, you will discover the kind of thoughts, emotions, and words you should be speaking about the things that matter to you most. Also, included in this book are affirmations to speak each day of the week. When spoken in daily succession, these affirmations gain momentum and can help you on your journey towards the life of your dreams. There's no other way around having the life that you want. It all starts with you. Get ready to speak your week. Available for download at Amazon.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you so much for rejoining us. Like I said, we're talking about leadership today, and we're going to welcome, she's right here to my right in our studio, we're going to welcome Dr. Keichea Reever, founder and CEO of the Southern California Mentoring Academy. Welcome to our show.
Welcome, Keichea.
Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. We love it. Love it.
So glad that you are here with us. So you may have heard us in the other room talking about this election, this whole election thing. Like everyone has their sides, everyone has their favorites, but we want to elect a leader.
Yes.
So how do we make the best decisions, informed decisions, outside of all the stress that everyone's feeling, outside of all the emotions and personal attacks or whatever people are going through or how they feel?
Right.
How do we elect a leader?
Well, we need to look at the qualities of the leader. We need to make sure that we elect a leader who is going to bring America forward and bring forth some positive outcomes for our country. Because, of course, we all know that America is great.
Yes.
But we want it to be greater. Okay?
Right.
So that's what we want to look for, you know?
Yeah, I like that. And I don't think people are looking for that. I really don't.
No.
It's really, I just don't like it. I can't think of any other phrase to say. The feeling that I get is just like I really want the best person that is for us right now. And I mean for us, America, not just for certain interests, you know? And I just don't think that we're seeing too much of that.
Right.
Right.
I think what gets me is the when you said his slogan, "Make America Great Again." But making America great again, we have to think about that's the past. And what happened in the past? You know, it was great for some, not great for all.
Right.
You know? And so I look back as, looking back, you think about forefathers, you even go back to example like Henry Ford, who created the car. Before them we had the buggies, the horses, the wagons. Someone had a vision to create a motor vehicle to get us moving forward, right? So fast forward to today. Now with the car, now we have, technology in the car. We have Wi-Fi. Someone visionary. We cannot go back, because what are you taking this country back to? Back to Jim Crow laws and back to all those things.
We definitely don't need that.
No, we don't. So to me, it's like we need a leader who is going to take the baton from Obama, because he was a great visionary, as far as my opinion, moving us forward, inclusiveness.
Progressive.
Right.
And so, what qualities, I guess, Keichea, like what in terms of how can you identify a great leader? Someone beside, of course, mindsets and things like that. But in your field, what do you classify? What do you see as leadership?
Right. Well, definitely they're going to be very influential. They're going to be key in, like you said, have a vision to bring America forward. They're going to be committed to the values of the majority of the people.
Right.
That's going to bring about positive change, in the different areas, that we talk about we need change in.
Yes. That's awesome. Yeah.
I'm not really, you know what? I don't really know what platform that Donald Trump is running on. I don't really understand it. And I kind of think, it kind of reminds me of myself. I'm going to have to talk about myself for a minute because when I was in the 6th grade, way back.
Way back.
Oh, my gosh. All right, I don't need that.
Okay, just go back a little bit.
Right. Just a little bit. The other day. No. Totally kidding. When I was in the 6th grade, I was elected 6th grade president for my middle school.
That's right.
Thank you. Shout out to Bancroft. And back then it was Bancroft Beavers. Girl, it's Bancroft Bruins now.
Is it?
In Lakewood, California.
I like
Shout
that
out to my Bruins. Yeah, people didn't take Beavers.
I know.
We were playing basketball games and running track. They were like, Beavers, really? No threat.
No.
I digress.
Right.
So I ran for 6th grade president. I was elected. I didn't want to do it. I was super shy. I did not want to be president. I didn't want to talk in front of anybody. I just, my teacher nominated me, and then the students in the class nominated me. So, of course, I had to go on this whole campaign trail because I had to. Now I'm doing it for a grade. I'm pressured. And I'm going against this other young lady. So she's like, that girl, she's like Reese Witherspoon in that movie, Election. She's like bringing
Legally
cookies. She has her initials on the cookies. She's like,
Right,
vote
she
for
is
Aaron.
prepared.
Oh,
She's
wow.
like, got the pens. And I'm just coming to school like, huh? Oh, go Aaron.
Right.
I don't know what
You're
to
on
do.
her team.
Right? Can I have cookie? It's crazy. Well, fast forward to like we were saying speeches, and we got to go around the school and say, elect me. And so we have the big, auditorium, election day or whatever, or the big speech of that day. So I say my speech, nervous as I don't know what. I got through it, but then I felt like I need something because everyone's just kind of just staring at me like, blank faces. And I said, okay, we're going to have free Fridays. 7th grade, every Friday, people get out of class free. I just started making up stuff. I was like, there's going to be candy dishes on the teacher's desk. And everybody
so
was
like empty promises?
Yeah. Yes, right? Yes. And everybody was like, yay. And I was like, I got him. And I just started thinking of stuff just to move the crowd, right?
Okay.
Right.
So then I finished that. I sat down. Aaron gets up, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. Mrs. Election. She's going to win it, whatever.
Right.
So she gets up. She says her speech. She had her papers out of order. So she froze. And in her freezing, she said a bad word. She said the S word. And she got all red, and she stopped her speech and went and sat down.
Oh, wow.
We got called to the administrator's office at 3 o'clock that day. Go in office, we sit down, they were like, congratulations, April.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great story.
I was like, dang it. What do I do now? So but then the administrator looks at me and goes, now April. You're not going to be candy on every teacher's desk, and you're not getting out Fridays for free. You can't. We can't.
We can't do that.
We can't do that.
But see, our political system,
They do that. They do that all the time.
Yeah. So the buzz around school later on was, April, I voted for you. April, I voted for you. My friends were coming up, and people that I didn't even know, they said, well, we didn't vote for Aaron because not only it wasn't so bad that she said the bad word, she didn't finish her speech.
Oh, okay.
And like, you guys are in 6th grade. Like, they were serious. Like, we at least wanted her to finish her speech because, people make mistakes.
Yeah.
But
They
she
wanted a
didn't. She
leader.
ran. You're
So
right.
she's a quitter. We need somebody who's going to stay there with us to the end.
I don't
Exactly.
quit.
Right.
Nothing.
Right. Exactly. Go on ahead then, leader
That's
April.
my little story. But it just kind of reminded me of Trump. Because it just seems like he's just spewing whatever.
Yes.
Like, let me just say whatever.
Right,
Let me
right.
just say, this, and they'll buy it, and that. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
We're going to make it happen. America's going to move forward. Well, how?
Right.
How's it going to be great? What are we going to do?
We need a plan.
We need a plan.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, those tactics do work, but as long
Yes,
as
they
you're
do.
not you're not coupling it along with hate and
Yeah.
putting people down and things like that, So that's where I think he's showing, which is good because he's showing his true colors.
Right. Well,
Right.
one thing I want to say about that is I did hear him, talk about our president and say that he was not intelligent. What was the word he used? Did you guys hear that?
Not
I think he might have
intelligent?
said he was ignorant.
Oh,
And now
wow.
this is one good characteristic of a good leader is that they know how to follow. Now, President Obama is our president. So you should not be
Yes.
publicly talking
Right.
about our leader.
Right.
No matter what your views are, you can go in the living room and say what you need to say.
Right.
But on national television, When
Right.
they talk about our leader, you need to be, that happens in the workplace too. You might not particularly like your boss,
Right.
but you're not going to
Right.
get publicly up there and just really
Right.
down them.
Right.
No,
Put
that's
them down.
not what you're supposed. You got to have tact.
Yes.
We need a leader with some tact.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Some class.
Some
Yeah,
class.
and I think because it sets an example. It's like, how can we be respected? As a country, as a people, if the people here are not respecting the leaders,
Right.
not putting leadership first, not the authorities that we have. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I think he's the only. I mean, well, since in my lifetime, Obama, I have never heard such disrespectful, horrible things about a leader, such as
Yeah.
this since he's been in office.
Yeah. There's some very low blows going on.
Yeah. So
There are. And I also I've been reading on social media, the interesting part is other countries are chiming in and they're trying to, and like literally contacting Americans who are just on social media saying, I'm Canadian. I see what's going on in your country. Can you guys please not vote for Trump? Can you please elect a real leader?
Wow.
And this is before it was decided between the two, Hillary and Trump. And they're like pleading with us, like,
Right.
please do the right thing. Like we see it. We see
Right.
what's going on.
right.
Right. I know a whole lot of people didn't see him getting this far. Really, are you really serious? This is really who you nominated.
I know. That's the scary part.
Right.
But after seeing, because I was surprised when Obama was elected, because I think we were like,
all were.
we were like, they're not going to elect him.
Right.
Like, and when he came through, I was like, wow, it really opened my eyes to say like, okay, maybe we are evolving, we are changing, somewhat. So
And twice elected.
Right.
but to see someone come out now who wants to go backwards, we're moving forward. We're coming so far, and someone that wants to take things back to a time where, to me, it's like you're not for the people. It's not for the whole. Because if you want to take something back, that's selfishness to me. That's based around fear and selfishness, because it's like you want to take it back to a time where it was good for you,
Right.
Not the people as a whole. So how are you going to help people that need help? How are you going to be sympathetic, empathize with other cultures that struggle?
Right. And who is he appealing to when he's talking about building a wall,
Right.
and not immigration reform?
Right,
Like,
right.
really?
Right? Yeah.
That's your only plan?
Once again, just those are. That's not using. To me, that's not using your mind. That's not.
You have to think a little deeper.
Right. Real solutions. We're here. There are a lot of cultures here. There's religions, Muslims, there's Hispanics, there's blacks. It's a melting pot. America is a huge melting pot. How do we bridge those gaps? We're all here for the bottom line. We're here to be loved, accepted, to survive, to raise our children, to have our children go to the best schools so that we can all live. We want peace. We want happiness. We
Right.
want every race, every culture wants the same thing.
And you know
Right.
what? You know what? To me, I feel is a little unfair. Like, especially our generation. I feel like and lots of Americans across the board. When you're born an American, it is instilled and ingrained in your head the American dream.
Right.
That's just something that we know. Freedom. So that's what we're always fighting for. Civil rights. That's what we always want because we see it.
Right.
It's ingrained in our heads. It's taught in our schools. That is what we know.
Yes.
So don't. In midlife, don't try to change up. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. You know what I
Right,
mean? And
right.
that's what I see. It just seems like now it's just such a pivotal time to where now is it going to be dictatorship?
Right.
Is it going to be more the same? It's like where do we go and what
I don't
do we
think
do?
we're ready for a dictatorship at all.
No.
We have evolved from that.
Yes.
That's like back in the 1900s from just
Right.
studying leadership. That goes back to the great man theories,
Okay.
where people feel like, a person they can only be great if they're born great, and you have all that authoritarian type of
Right.
leadership. But we have
Right.
evolved from that, and we know that
Right.
there are leaders who are born and there are leaders who are made.
Okay.
And we don't want that dictatorship.
And I was
we are a
glad to-
democracy.
Yes,
Right,
yes, and I was
right.
glad to hear you said it because that was going to be one of my questions. Like, are they born leaders, or can you be made into a leader?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, like going back to April's story, so maybe I'm not sure if you had leadership experiences prior to that.
Girl, no.
See, so like I would say
I don't know
that
what.
maybe she was a maid leader, a leader that was made. Some people in that situation are already ready for that leadership capacity. And I've had to interview a lot of leaders, like say superintendents, and I asked them about their early leadership experiences. And a lot of them will say that they can remember far back when they were 4 years old, how they, took the lead in making the cookies at home or whatever it was that their leadership role is, Right. But then others, they will say, no, they really, through the course of their experiences, they learned how to become a leader.
Okay.
Right. Now that's pretty much me. Just because I was so shy. And I would always want to be in the back of the class, never sat in the back of the class. I always want to be in the shadows. I always got pulled out. No matter what I did, I always, hey, you behind the door, sitting on the floor. You come here. I'm like, what the heck?
Maybe they saw something in you.
Yeah.
Behind the door on the floor? Yeah,
Right.
But yeah, so
Right.
definitely, and because I was so shy, I made myself like take acting classes and speech classes and things. Because I was like, I can't go through life like this.
Right.
So maybe that was within me to say like, you know what, this is not serving you. I don't know.
Right.
That's interesting. We might have to talk about that later on.
Okay. We can
Off
do
the
that.
air. I got to figure this out. Right. Where did it come from?
Yeah, well, it's a matter of how people look at it because other people, like I've debated that question. Okay. That is the actual biggest question in the field of leadership.
Okay.
Are leaders born or made? And so during the course of my doctoral program, I would, bring that question up to different people. And so some people feel like everyone is born a leader because even if it's not in you, say it wasn't being displayed in you at the time,
right.
it was in you, so you were born with it. So different people look at it, differently.
That's interesting because I think about seems to me there's a fine line between leadership and being controlling.
A fine line.
Yes.
Very fine line.
Now, how do you define that? Because some people will, they'll think, well, I'm just trying to do what's best for you. I'm just trying to,
Ooh,
right, like
yes.
they're overbearing.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And so how does you...
Well, I would say that's like different styles.
Okay.
So there are just literally hundreds of different leadership styles.
Okay,
And so, different leadership theories,
Right.
And one I'm thinking of now is like the situational approach.
Okay,
You
what's
might
that?
have a situational approach is where depending on the situation, you may be more supportive. You might have to direct more, just depending on the follower.
Okay.
Because like say in my school district, there are teachers who are very competent, but maybe they just might need a little support in one area or, a little bit of guidance. But then some need a whole lot of directing,
Okay.
But then to your question about their being controlling, I mean, that's just more of a authoritarian style. Like, it's my way, and they're kind of more selfish, or maybe their perspectives. They can't see it from your perspective because they only value their own perspective.
Right, gotcha.
So they want to project that over there onto you. Like, you see that when you're driving sometimes with people.
Yeah.
They want to like just really tell you which turn to make, which
That's
that's on a smaller scale, but I'm just saying.
Yes, and making turns for you, looking over their shoulder for you.
But
watch that over there.
I have to say, when I'm in the car with my 18-year-old daughter, I am kind of like that sometimes. Like I remember, like last night, I'm driving I'm riding. Actually, I thought I was driving. I was riding. And so then she was like over in the left lane, and it was time for her to get off on the freeway. And so I'm doing like this, like to check her blind spot. I'm like, when are you gonna check? She was like, Mama, I'm not about to get over yet. I'm like, well,
ready.
you should. It's the exit is right there.
Right.
Don't you want to look over your shoulder and check your blind spot?
Right.
And then soon after that, she had done that.
Then she went. Okay.
Yeah.
That
But
is
anyway,
funny.
that's just one little example.
Yeah, but I think that's different because you're training. You're still training
See,
her.
That's right.
You're still training.
Right.
You're still
But she has a license now, so I'm just gonna throw myself under the bus.
Right.
I was guilty of that, but
Yeah.
people do that,
They
in the
do,
car
though.
with me.
That's so
Yeah,
true.
and it's like, you know what? Go on and sit down. I got this.
right. Have several seats: passenger, back seat. Go on.
Now, Keichea, with your background, what made you get into the leadership, career and
Right.
things like that? Tell us a little bit more about your background.
Okay, well, my first career was as a speech language pathologist.
Okay.
So I always wanted to help people. So just going back a little bit, of course, we went to high school together.
Yes.
April
My
and
girl,
I.
I'm
Yes.
so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm like, Dr. Keichea. I remember.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Never
I'll
mind.
we'll get back to that. But no,
Like,
so we met at high school.
Yes.
Then I transferred over to Long Beach City College.
Okay.
I had no idea what I was going to do. And then after the 2 years, when it's time for you to transfer, I talked to a counselor. And he says, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I don't really know, but I want to help people. So he said, have you ever heard of speech language pathology and audiology? And I was like, no, what is that? So he said, when you go over to Cal State Long Beach, why don't you take the Intro to Communicative Disorders and then see if you like it. And so I did just that. I loved it. And I almost was going to be an audiologist. But then I talked
What?
An audiologist.
Audiologist.
Okay.
I
So
could be an
here-
audiologist right now, right?
Exactly. I think you'd be a great one. But no, I almost was going to be an audiologist, but I took a neurology class, fell in love with the brain and how it controls the language. And so I had to reapply to 3 grad schools and do all that. So that's a long story we won't get into.
Well, let's stop right there. You said the language thing.
Okay.
Is there a difference between the male brain and the female brain in terms of communication and language?
Girl, I don't have to be a doctor to know that
I was
there
gonna
is.
say, I know it's not, but since she actually-
Hormonal changes.
Okay,
but
that's
look,
what
I
it
don't know how much time I have on this question, so let me get to the leadership
Okay,
part.
gotcha.
I went on ahead and became a speech language pathologist after grad school. And what happened was, in my personal life, my son, my firstborn son, he was about 17 at the time, and he was making poor choices, getting bad grades in school, and that led me to want to study leadership and how do you reach youth.
Oh, that's very important. That's big.
That's how I got into a doctoral program, because I was at home just reading up about mentoring and how to reach youth. And so I said, I wonder if I went to school for this, what would they teach me?
Oh,
Nice.
yes.
Well, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back. You are also an author, self-published author, and you wrote a book. It's basically research-based, right?
Yes.
And it's entitled Leading People, of course.
Yes.
So when we come back, we're going to talk more about that.
Okay.
Okay? We're going to be right back. Hope you guys stay right there. And we'll be back with Dr. Keichea Reever. Thanks.
Okay.
Did you know that your skin is your body's largest organ? And you should be aware of what you're applying to it. The more natural products you use, the better. The best place to start is with Did It For Love handmade natural body products, made with pure organic ingredients. Our Shea Body Butter Moisturizer is whipped to perfection and hydrates dry, cracked skin and protects from UV rays. Did It For Love Shea Body Butter Moisturizer is infused with essential oils. You can choose from scents like lavender, vanilla and sandalwood, white rose, and many more. Our deodorant has a fresh scent that not only works against odor, but also reduces sweat. With this toxin-free deodorant, you can feel fresh and confident all day long. You can also keep your lips healthy and kissable with our handmade lip balms, in healing and fruity scents like tantalizing peppermint to sensational green apple. Our products promote healthy, youthful-looking skin and is safe for the whole family, vegan-friendly, cruelty-free, and gentle enough for cancer survivors and those going through treatment. Go to diditforlove.com today. Did It For Love, toxin-free for your whole family.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuning into the very best. It's yours truly, Jazzy Fizzle, and you got to check out my girls, Deidre and April, on their new show, It's Time to Talk, Saturdays at 5 p.m. on
ubnradio.com.
Yeah, Can We Talk for a Moment?
Hey.
Oh boy! Yeah, and I'm coming real soon with the exclusive interview.
Yes, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh boy, I almost kissed her. Oh boy.
Welcome back. You are with us live, Sunset Gower Studios. It's time to talk. And Deidre, you got something to say?
I sure do, because we've been playing the Jazzy Faye video. I had the wonderful privilege of meeting Jazzy Faye in Atlanta like a month or so ago, and mega producer, and just he just gave April and I It's Time to Talk a shout out. So we've been playing the video, and I haven't been able to.
Not giving any love back at all.
I want to give him the utmost respect and love, because his energy was amazing. He
positive.
was just positive.
So positive. Follow him on Instagram.
Yes.
I think it's at Jazzy Faye. He is awesome.
He is. And so, basically we are working on getting him on the show. He's super busy, but, he did say that he would come on the show. So want to send much love out to Jazzy Faye. Awesome person, great spirit, energy.
Yay.
And we look forward to having him on the show one day. So thank you.
Yay. Oh, I feel so much better.
I know, right?
Yes. So we're back with Dr. Keichea Reever, and before we went to the break, you were telling us about your son and how that was probably the impetus in getting you on your career path. So it's a pretty inspirational story. So tell us more about it.
Okay. Well, let's see. When I had Victor, I was very young. So I was in my first year. So going back in the story, it was my first year of college where I had him. And so, I was pretty self-determined to make sure that I still continue college because my mom had drilled that into me. And so I just knew, you know what, I'm not going to become a statistic. I am going to become someone that's, independent, and I want to overcome this. I want to, basically beat the odds, I felt like maybe people might have been looking at me thinking, oh, she's just going to have more kids and she's not going to, make something of herself now. But, I wanted to make sure that I definitely stayed on the path to college, and I did just that.
Wow.
And so
that could not have been easy. I mean, people look at the end result and, I'm over here, doctor, wow, but I cannot imagine what it took to get through that,
Right. Yeah. At the time I had a baby, then I got married and trying to juggle college. And, that's hard. And one thing I tell people about my story is I did it all out of order. But, when you're young, you can't, sometimes you don't listen.
Right.
And, that's one of the biggest things after going through the whole doctoral program. One of the biggest things I found out is that it doesn't matter how great your parenting is or how good your program is. If you don't have a student who's receptive and who will listen to what the sound advice is, you know what? It's all going to be in vain.
Wow.
That's really important. And so that's one of the messages I tell to young kids when I'm talking to them, because it's very important to listen.
Right. It sure is.
It doesn't take all that, all these programs. You might have had an auntie. You might have had even two parents or, whatever you had.
Right.
But the thing is, you have all these scenarios. One thing, when I was in the doctoral program, I had to read a whole lot of research. And one of the research studies I read early on was saying that, kids who come from a single family, they're predicted to not have good outcomes. And I was reading that like, this is not true.
Right.
They don't know the people that I know.
I know, exactly. Yes.
And so it's such a stereotypical type of statement.
Yes, there is.
And it was talking about if they came from a lower socioeconomic background, they were going to be predicted to not have a good outcome. And so I wanted to delve more into that. And of course, what I found was that basically there are a myriad of factors that contribute to whether or not a child's going to be successful in school or go on to higher education. It's definitely going to be that home life.
Right.
It's definitely going to be the environmental factors. Then you have just the leadership inside, where we go back to the being born or made.
Right.
Right.
Because ultimately we all were born with free choice and free will, right?
Yes.
So you have to be very responsible with that free will. Because, we all know like kids who maybe they came from a 2-parent home. And so like if that was the only predictor, well, then why do you have the people from the 2-parent home and they still went the wrong way?
Right. Or you have like preacher's kids,
Right. Preacher's kids.
And they turn up and turn wild. You know what I mean?
Right.
More than,
some of them, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. But then you have some, like I have a very good friend who didn't have the benefit of her parents raising her, well. But she had it in her to be successful. Wow. She had it in her.
Something was in her.
It was something in her to be successful, and she's very successfar.
Wow.
So that part, that's key to me. That's the most important. Now, of course, you want to have the ideal situation. You want to have, the 2-parent home. Right. You want to have all of that. That's all wonderful. But when you don't, what you need are coping skills. Okay. You need to be resilient.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that we talk about in the book.
Okay, you stop right there. That right there, coping skills.
Yes,
it just seems like you got it or you don't. How can we? If we don't have them, how do we know if we don't have them?
Right.
And if we don't have them, how do we get them?
Well, you will know you don't have them if you find yourself in the middle of a situation and you're not coping with it well.
Okay.
That's one way to just know you're not coping well.
Maybe anxiety or crying, and you can't emotional, and you can't handle
drama.
it, and
exactly. But I will say that also going back to the parenting and children being reared in a 2-parent home. Well, the advantage of that is you don't have anything to overcome at that point, because you know what I'm saying, everything is lovely, everything is supportive, and you know, you have a sense of belonging. You don't have to seek that out in a gang or anything like that. You know, all the research shows that, and it's true, you know, that does happen. But I will say what you need to do to build the coping skills is to definitely, like, when you have, like, say you might have a neighbor, you know, or somebody else that's in your village. That's why it's so important to have a village. You know, those, you know, all the people that's in your life that you come across, even teachers, counselors, whoever you run across that's going to give you that sound advice. We have transformational leaders all over the land, and they're building coping skills in kids every day, every single day. So shout out to them. You know,
seriously, while we're at work or we're doing whatever, and the, you know, the care that my son is in. I am grateful. So it's kind of built into our community, you know. But then if you need more, then that's when you have different types of programs. You have personal leadership coaching. You know, it might not have even come from a place of like brokenness, but maybe it's just that you want to make sure you reach your full potential. So then that's why, like, the most successful people in the world have coaches, and so that's what they do. They help you to, you know, cope better in business, or in, you know, master a certain area that you're trying to focus on, or whether or not you want to write a book, you want to get with a coach that's done that and it's going to help you, you know, just to get to the next level. So it doesn't always have to start from a place of brokenness. And I think that's important, that just from what I gather from what you just said is that we need people. Like, you can't just do it on your own. And I think some people internalize things, and then they go to gangs, they go to drugs, they go to, you know, alcohol, whatever. And I think that's important. That's key. The village, help,
very important.
And knowing how to seek help too, because continuing my story about my son. So back when I started the mentoring program when he was 17, he was you know, making poor choices. He ended up going to prison. And so that was a very hard thing I ended up having to cope with. And at the time, I'm in a doctoral program. I need to study. I need to do all the things. I need to take care of my other two kids at that time.
It all happens at once, right?
It's all at once. So, you know, you have to know how to seek help if you need to. So that's very important, I want to say.
It is.
You know, I've gone to counseling. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I want to put that out there because there's a stigma attached to that, where people don't like to go get help, but it's okay.
And I think for women, we carry a lot of the baggage, of the burdens, of the weight. And so for us, we think, oh, we can do it. You know, we're the superwoman, things like that. So it's very important, like what you said, asking for help, because that was my issue. I was, and still I struggle with it, taking on so much, doing a lot on myself instead of asking for help, you know. And so it's just something that, you said the village, you know, reaching out to other people. You know, thank God I have my mom, I have my sister, I have my kids, people in my life that help me. But I know myself, I always feel like, okay, it's up to me. You know, I got to make this happen. I got to do it. You know? So,
but and
releasing that.
It's going to be important too to reach out for help. You know when you need some help, because people are willing to help you. But sometimes, you know, people, you may not want to, you know, seem vulnerable or whatever. But you just have to let that go.
That pride will get you every time.
Exactly. That's right. That's right.
Make you tired.
No, really. So in the book, if I can hold it up.
Yes, this is actually a copy I brought for you. And I signed it. It's just for you.
Here's a copy of the book.
Leading
People. Oh, I can't wait to read. All right, get ready, Deidre. I'm going to be a leader. Get ready, Jarvis. I'm leading this.
You're going to sharpen up your leadership skills because you are a leader.
I'm totally kidding. But thank you. But I do want to talk about something that kind of stuck out to me, and just your bio's fantastic bio, by the way.
Thank you so much.
But you said one of the things that you do talk about when you go out, and she is for hire, to talk and to come to your company, industry, clergy, wherever you are for hire. But I love that you talk about the things that you talk about. And one of the topics that stuck out to me was learn how to exercise self-defense on your negative thoughts.
Oh, that's good.
Ooh,
that's a good one.
That's very important.
I mean, learn. Like, let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Please.
Well, basically, you need to learn how to identify a negative thought. So when you're alone and you get those thoughts that might tell you I'm not worthy, or I can't do this. You need to first identify them as negative thoughts.
That is so
Yes,
key.
so important.
I had to stop you there
yes.
because that needs to sink into all of us.
Yeah.
Those are negative thoughts. They're not you, and they don't define who you are.
Definitely not.
And it just real quick, you're not aware. You're not consciously being aware, mentally aware that is something that you're thinking about.
That's a thought.
And why are you thinking about that?
And you know why?
You
Let
need
me
to
tell
stop.
you. That's a good thing. I'm glad you said that. It's because they're automatic thoughts. We get all these automatic thoughts based on our upbringing, or what it is, how you've shaped, or what situation you're in.
Is it fair to say your thoughts are thinking you? You know how you think your thoughts? I said, is it fair to say your thoughts are thinking you? And just a little play on it, instead of you thinking those thoughts.
That's right. Your thoughts are thinking you. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Because they are automatic. You can be minding your own business, and here comes this thought in your mind. And
you singing, you're all like, hey, and then you're like, what?
Right.
I'm depressed.
Right. Or sometimes you have the racing thoughts. That's a sign of, you're worried and you're anxious about a certain situation. But to do self-defense on your negative thoughts, you need to replace that thought with a positive thought that directly counteracts that negative thought. So if the thought was, I can't do this, then the replacement thought is, I can do this.
Right.
Of course I can do this. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So you have to check your thoughts and your beliefs also. You have to examine your beliefs. Like, what is it that you believe? What is it that you believe in? You'd be surprised if you just sit back and think about what is it that you believe. But then the next step is challenge those beliefs. Because just because you believe it or just because you think it doesn't mean that it's true.
That's right. That's right. That's
right.
That is the truth right there.
Yeah, so you have to challenge it, and then ultimately, if they're negative, you're going to be changing your belief system because it's not true.
Right.
If it's saying, I'm not worthy, I can't do this, I'm not beautiful, I'm not handsome, I'm too this, I'm too that, I'm not enough. All that stuff is negative, and we're going to cast it down. But replace it, not generally, replace it specifically to each negative thought.
And that's so important because that's where, things like affirmations, self-talk, something daily, because they say like 21 days to change a habit or, something like that. So that's where those resources come in. You know?
It's true. And I think, that takes work. I mean, you got to want to do that. You have to be conscious in the moment and willing to work on that. And I don't think a lot of people like to do that because who wants to examine that side? Yeah. It's hard work,
It is hard work.
How do you even get the is it just that you got to want it so badly?
You have to want it, and once you start it and you practice it, it can become an automatic thing. So, like for me, I've been practicing it so long until that's automatic.
That's
like
automatic
that automatic thought comes in, and it's automatic that I'm replacing it and casting it down. But I wanted to share another strategy. There are so many strategies, and a lot of them I'll share. It comes from a book. It's called Feeling Good by David Burns. He's a psychologist, clinical psychologist.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna write that one down.
Yes,
Feeling good.
Feeling good.
Okay, I like
Girl,
that.
this is what I'm talking about. If you have one day I was not feeling good, and I went to Barnes and Noble.
Okay, we have it on the screen here. Thank you, Jarvis.
Yeah,
right.
Feeling Good is an awesome book. I love that book. It is on my dresser.
Nice.
But now the strategies, I've read it so long ago, and I've practiced the strategies until they're a part of me. So one strategy that he has in there, it's about developing optimism. So sometimes, how like when people are depressed, they don't really feel like going to that party that's coming up, for example, or going to the cousin's house or whatever it is. You don't want to be bothered because you're not feeling good.
That's right.
And so they have this rating scale in there. So it's like, I remember practicing my very first time doing this many years ago. Okay. A friend had invited me to go to, I think it was Laurie's Steakhouse or something. They had a gift certificate, and we were going to go there and have a good time. I didn't really want to go.
Okay.
But I knew about that. I said, I'm going to try this. Okay. So basically what you do is you predict by percentage how much of a good time you're going to have.
Okay.
Really? And it's from like 0% to 100%, right?
Right.
So I predicted that I would have, and it's really broken down in the book, but it's like I predicted I'm going to have like maybe a 30% of a good time. I didn't really think I was going to have a good time. And so anyway, you know, I had gone on to the dinner, and they have it all nice. They wear those nice little outfits in there. I had never been there, and it was really nice. And you know, they bring the meat out to you and all this. You know, ended up having a great time.
Wow.
So at the end of the night, you know, when I get home and get settled, I look at my little exercise, and I ended up, I will say, I had like a 90% of a good time.
Wow.
You know, so what that does though, like it might seem corny, but it is a psychological tool that he developed. It actually works, but pretty soon, like now, I don't have to get out the paper and do it. It's a part of me. And so immediately, like say if you were to invite me, like let's go somewhere I may not want to go.
Okay.
I immediately might project now that I'll probably have a good time. Because most of the time when I would think I'm only going to have a 30% of a good time, I end up having a 90% of a good time.
Okay. So is it just
so
like
shapes your thoughts?
Right. So your natural, so is it like your natural inclination, like what you think that is going to happen, and whatever that percentage is pops up, then that's probably basically it? How'd you come up with the 30%? You're just like, okay, 30%.
Because I went by how I was feeling at the time. So say if you're like, you know, in a place where you really don't want to go places, you know, you're really not feeling like you want to go at all, you know? So I really did think, okay, it's a nice place. I'm not going to just say I'm going to have a 10% of a good time. I probably will have 30%, which is like still low, you know, lower, less than 50%. But I ended up having, you know, a higher percentage. And what I found is like just doing it in my mind, not pulling it out, just knowing that strategy. I always say, I'm probably going to have a good time. Like, so even when the thought comes in that you're not going to have a good time, you don't want to go, oh, I'll say, yes, I do want to go because I'm probably going to have a good time.
It counters.
Yeah, that's that replacement thought.
Yeah. And that's interesting because I did that just in certain situations. Just growing up, I would do things like that. Like, oh, if I go here, I don't, you know, it's probably going to be whacked or this and that, you know. And 9 times out of 10, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so glad I went, you know.
Right.
And I do that. I used to do that an awful lot.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you, I need to teach this strategy to my son. I have another son that's 12. And so recently for, what holiday was that just passed? Was it 4th of July? 4th of July.
Yeah.
So I was going to a friend's house. Normally we go to another friend's house, but this year we're going to go somewhere new. So my son is like, you know, Mom, I don't really want to go.
Sounds like my son.
You know, but there are not going to be any kids my age. I don't know those people. I'm like, boy, you're gonna have a great time. Let's go. So we get over there, and of course they have everything over there. They have a magician. He is the one that comes to me every morning while I'm half asleep. Mama, pick a card, any card. You know. So that magician.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh, it had his attention for 45 minutes. I was taking his picture. He was over there just all fascinated with doing the card tricks. And so then later on, I'm like, you see there, you ended up having a good time. Now I don't want to hear it next time.
Exactly.
But so that's the kind of thing, you know. But you end up being miserable before you ever get there. But you're miserable for no reason.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all about the experiences, you know, and getting out of your comfort zone.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
So
being open, too.
Yes,
you need to be open.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to talk about is, especially with I keep coming back to the elections and how everyone's feeling, how do we develop more optimism for the future? Yeah. How? Yes.
That's a good question.
I thought you'd be the perfect person to answer.
Okay. Well, I see him with his hands up.
Ignore Jarvis. We got him. We got Jarvis.
Okay,
we usually do. We're good.
Okay, we're good.
Look,
I got Jarvis.
until the next time.
Right. Exactly.
Then we're searching for him.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we develop more optimism
for the future?
Just in general, just people in general.
Yeah, how do we do it?
Like our mindset.
Yeah,
you just have to be hopeful. You have to wake up expecting something great to happen every day, and that's a practice that I use every day. I wake up, I'm like, something great is going to happen today.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
You know, and then you got to get busy doing something to create something great.
That's
you know
a
what
big
I'm saying?
one. Create.
You have to create something great, right? You got to be busy on the grind, working on something. I'm always working on something,
right?
You know, and then you know, if you're working on something great, like eventually that's gonna flourish. You know, so like for example, this book is actually chapter 4 of my. Okay, it's chapter 4 of my 5-chapter dissertation, and the reason why I published it is because the dissertation is only housed at Pepperdine and it's not available to the public, and so a lot of people might want to have access to the information. So I published chapter 4 because it's only 52 pages, and some people don't want to read the whole 150-page dissertation.
Okay.
But now I do have people who have said, you know what, I would like to
read the whole thing.
Read the whole thing.
Nice.
So that's one thing I've been creating. I just developed the full cover and the back cover and everything for the full dissertation. It's going to be called Transformational Leadership and Personal Development.
I love it.
Yes.
Well.
Strategies for effective leadership.
Wow. Look at
So
you.
I'm so excited.
Oh,
And
you
the
should
cover,
be.
Yes,
wait
we're
a
so
minute.
proud of you. Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh.
Thank
right?
you. I'm so excited because the cover, now I have a brother. You know, my brother and his girlfriend came here to support me.
Yes, I
I'm
love
so
that they're
happy.
here with you.
Yes, me too. They're so sweet. But my brother, he takes pictures everywhere he goes of like the sunset and different things. So one of the pictures that he has, I always tell myself, I'm going to make you famous. So I'm using one of his pictures for my next cover.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it is awesome. It's so cute. I was like, you got to be a famous photographer one day.
Wonderful.
Yes. I love his
Awesome.
pictures.
I love that. I'm just so glad you're here, and I'm so glad that you're sharing all this information. So if you had maybe just a minute to talk about leadership and how we should have it in our lives, what can we do? Just
What can you do?
Wake up and just, I'm a leader. You know, what do we do?
Right. You need to get in touch with who you are.
Okay.
You know, more in touch with who you are. Yeah, more in touch with what it is that you love. More in touch with like what is it that you really value.
Okay.
You know, what is really important to you, so that you can get busy doing those things. You know, it's about developing and refining your purpose in life.
Right.
And what I found through the research is once you're on purpose, that's when
huge.
it's hard to knock you off.
Right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
You're going to really be resilient because you're going to be so laser focused on your purpose until you're not going to be able to be knocked down.
And then you're in line with your journey and your destiny at that point.
Exactly. And you
So
feel so fulfilled.
We thank you so much
Yes,
for coming
we
on our
do.
show. We thank you so much for tuning in with us. Thank you, Dr. Keichea
You're
Reever.
welcome.
And people can get your book?
Yes, they can get my book on my website. It's
Okay.
named after me,
Okay.
www.KeicheaReever.com.
Okay. Awesome. Go get it. I think we have it on the screen.
You have it on there?
Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, it's time to talk.
Where your conversation is your inspiration.